Inside PressBox is presented by Freedmont Mortgage. Don't make a 30-year mistake by choosing the wrong lender. Go to Freedmont.com now for all of your mortgage needs. And welcome to another edition of Inside PressBox. I'm your host, Stan the Fan Charles. You know, there were over 1,400 athletes who descended upon Towson last weekend for the Special Olympics Maryland 2012 Summer Games. This week, we'll hear from VP of Communications for Special Olympics Maryland, Jason Schrimmel, about the games. Plus, with baseball at its midway point and football resurfacing with mini camps around the country, fantasy expert and PressBoxOnline.com writer Ken Zalis will be on to discuss fantasy sports. But let's look back to the recently wrapped up Triple Crown season that brought us great anticipation, but ultimately never produced a Triple Crown winner. Joining me now is Tom Chuckas, who's the general manager of the Maryland Jockey Club. And Tom, this was, again, close but no cigar.
Absolutely. I actually believe that Olive Another had a legitimate shot to be a Triple Crown winner. He's a better horse, I think, than people gave him credit for, but unfortunately the horse came up injured a couple days before the race, and I believe O'Neill and Redham did the right thing. They probably could have raced the horse, but the chances of a catastrophic injury on that racetrack, it's just not worth it.
Is it the chance for a catastrophic injury that would turn the public possibly off, or is it the loss of the horse itself, or a combination of both?
I think it's a combination. I mean, racing, as you well know, with the New York Times article and some other articles, they've slammed horse racing in some regard. O'Neill's got a little bit of baggage from the past. I think, in fairness to the public, if the horse isn't 100% healthy, he really has no business running. So I think it's a combination of A, fairness to the public, truth in advertising, if you want to call it, and the other is they'd like the horse around for the breeding.
Now, we talked before we started taping, you were on the plane going out to New York for the race when you heard the news that he had been scratched on Friday. It's a bummer, though, especially when you're in the industry.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I've always believed that much like baseball, basketball, football, the stars help make the game, whether it's Kevin Durant in basketball, Peyton Manning, or whoever in football.
Stan the Fan in
Stan
sports
the Fan
media.
in sports media, absolutely.
But it goes back to Willie Mays, Babe Ruth. They sell the games.
And in the horse racing side, one of the problems we have is we don't have people or horses racing long enough to be stars. So I believed I'll Have Another could have been a star. He captures the Triple Crown. He takes some time off, maybe races at Saratoga in the late summer. You head into Breeders' Cup. You have a star that generates interest. People follow it. People want to see. And really a question is, here's a horse that possibly could have won the Triple Crown since 1978, I believe
right,
it is.
Affirmed 1978.
And then can you cap it off with the Grand Slam? You go from the Triple Crown, win the Breeders' Cup, you have a Grand Slam.
You've been in this game a long time, Tom. We won't go out into how many years, but seriously, that notion of the old days, you remember the movie on Seabiscuit, and these horses race till 6, 7 years old, where you might get them another half dozen times a year, where it became a huge event around the country back in those times. How much really would the sport gain by a Triple Crown winner that might only race 1 or 2 more times?
The truth of the matter is we were better off in the olden days when the horse raced at 4, 5, and 6. If you go back to Mr. Jackson, who had passed away, he had Curlin, he had Rachel. Okay. He raced both those horses well into their 4. They even tried at 5. That momentum continued to follow the horse. It's hard for JQ public to get excited when your star is here today and gone tomorrow. Can you imagine LeBron James playing 1 or maybe 2 seasons
and you're
and
just
gone?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the problem. Unfortunately, some of the way racing used to be with more established old-time money, let's call it that, who really were in for the sport of the game, money was less important. Now it's much more of a business enterprise.
Is it that the money was less important back then, or the dollars for the breeding of keeping the bloodlines alive were less?
Both.
Yeah.
Both. Now there seems to be a lot more money on the breeding side of this, so a horse, especially if you're in a syndicate or a partnership and you're trying to make the money, you can race the horse, maybe make $1 million or $2 million, or put him out to stud and make $5-6 million.
Tell us about the day itself this year, Preakness Day. It couldn't have been a more perfect day weather-wise, and just everything seemed to cooperate this year.
I mean, the stars all came together. The weather starts and sets the table. But you had not only for the Preakness, the other races were fantastic.
Yep.
Okay, hard work turned into some luck for us. We ended up with Maroon 5 and Wiz Khalifa, along with Little Big Town, The Darkness, and others. With Adam Levine, Maroon 5, The Voice, and so on, it just was the hottest band or hottest individual going. You had that going. We got lucky on the volleyball. We had the top men's Olympic team playing. Okay, everything just seemed to work well together. We had 121,000 people, which is a new record for us. I think the handle was slightly north of $80 million, which was our 5th largest day. And it's kind of nice for me and my crew, because 2 or 3 years ago, well, actually in 2009, and we said it would take 3 or 4 years to get this back. Now we have some vindication. The changes we made that I pretty much, let's say, got crucified
slammed. Yeah,
for.
there's no question you got slammed by some people. Yeah.
So, I mean, this is vindication. And I think it can continue to grow. I think it's on the right path. I think we've changed the brand. I think there's still a party in the infield, and there is some craziness, but...
Before we let you go, well documented the problems that Magna and the folks had with getting the casino licenses here. It ended up going to the Cordish Company, and they opened the biggest casino of them all last week. The amount of money that's going to come in toward purses, can it make a bit of a difference to the perception of the game?
Absolutely. I mean, our dilemma is when we look at this, the purses and the money that can come in can elevate the racing. There still has to be some funds to come to the operator. You've got some money coming for capital improvements, but to properly market, develop another fan base, we have to work with the horsemen in the state to see if we can get a few dollars over to that side to build a better program. And we've been charged by the state. We have to build a plan that's not contingent solely on gaming. We're working with the horsemen. We're working with the commission. I think we can do it. It may see some consolidation to start. I make the analogy real quick. The foundation isn't good, it's no good. So let's build the basement and work our way up.
Tom, thank you again. Thanks for your friendship over the years, and you're doing a good job over there under some trying circumstances.
Thanks, Dan.
Tom Chuckas, don't go away. When we get back, we'll go from the reality to the fantasy of sports with Ken Zales. That's coming up next. Go to MarylandGaming.net right now for all the latest news and information on Maryland casinos, the Maryland Lottery, and Maryland horse racing. That's MarylandGaming.net, powered by PressBox.